Hello, welcome back to BLENDERSUSHI Live Noding. Earlier today, I was reading this article about this photographer called Zoe Weatherall. I think originally from Melbourne and now working in New York. And he or she, the photographer actually took some of photograph like this. That's more or less like a pattern, kind of like some of them are like random patterns. The photographer actually captured the photograph of a lot of pattern in the city, and they are kind of interesting. Some of them repeat, but they also have some kind of organic feel about it. I especially like something like this one, for example. This is like a grid of 4 by 5 circles. If we look at it without the vertical and horizontal lines, it doesn't make much sense. But once it's divided into this kind of grid, it feels a little bit more interesting somehow. So maybe that's something that's called like a modular kind of design. So variations within smaller parts. That's kind of creating this organic, interesting pattern. And I kind of wanted to do this kind of study in Blender, whether it's using Sverchok Add-On or animation nodes. So we're gonna start with this thing again. I've done this a few times, but I think this still can be studied a little bit further. So I'll close Chrome first because it's taking a lot of processing power. Okay, let's do this from the scratch. It's actually really simple. If you look at the nodes, it's less than 10 nodes. So I'll start from scratch, and this is if you're like beginners or even you already use Sverchok for a while like me, sometimes doing a simple stuff, you learn a little bit more rather than always trying to do like a complex stuff all the time. So this is like a circle in color. So because we have more control over the color now in Sverchok, so I think why not? Let's do this again. You can do this whether using a circle and work with a matrix, or you can use the shortcut. With the circle, you have control over each and every circle, like scale, position, very easily, even rotations. But I think for now I'll use the cylinder first. It's a quick little hack. So with a cylinder, I know that cylinder and UV connections will give an interesting result right away. So if I plug just the vertices of the cylinder with this separate turn on, and with the vertices plug into the faces, we're gonna get this this structure or very easily. So they are dependent on the radius top and radius bottom, with all the subdivision in between the radius top and radius bottom. So this is actually quite enough for what we are trying to do. All we need to do is just to give it a color, and that's a start of this. I might actually turn this into like a monad, like a group of nodes. I make sure I turn on merge, and I need to have the slice on. Now I'll switch to cycle render. I'm gonna colorize this guy, so it's gonna be always more interesting with color. Give a cycle material, and because we're gonna color it using Sverchok vertex color, we're gonna assign this SV call attribute into the material. So select this guy, go to the material. In here, let's leave it at diffuse and assign an attribute SV call. Done. And if we switch material, we should see that now we can control the color. We just need to provide RGB from Sverchok. Okay, so that's cool. The next thing we want to do is just play with the color. So if you want to use like a random color, you can do that. Random vector. It's called vector because originally Sverchok is really for working with like mesh data, like vertices, edges, and faces. So there's a lot of vector in Sverchok, but vector is X, Y, Z, and you can use the value for RGB as well. So that's why we can use this random vector for the color. All we need to do is just give it a number, how many random vector we want to generate. If we look at it using the stethoscope, we can see also the representation of the value. Sometimes we get negative value, which is not good. We need to always turn it into positive value, because negative value for RGB give you blacks. You don't want that. So we have list 6 of 6 item, tuple of 6. Anyhow, we need to ensure we have the right number of circle and color. So I think we have, with subdivision of 4, we have 6 circles here. So we need to fix that real quick. Subdivision of 4, we actually have 6 circles, so we need to add 2 to this guy, and the result can go into the count. Maybe I need to switch float to integer just in case. Okay, now it's done. And also we gotta fix the positive negative value. We're gonna use absolute. We're gonna separate all the vector value. This is XYZ, the RGB value. That's we need to turn into positive. Just use absolute like that. This will fix the negative value. Now everything is becoming positive, and we are good. If we look at it from the top, material on, we have random value being generated, and we can randomize the seed, and this is pretty much done actually. This is some kind of a simple recipe, and it's a complete recipe of a circle with a random color. And if you look at it from the top, it's like a target kind of design, but you have unlimited number of stripes you can generate like that. See, you can go 100 stripes really quickly, or 100 circles, and you can go as little as 2 or 1, or even like just 2 or just 4, and generate like a random variation of this color. And if you actually turn this into a monad, I believe you can have unlimited variations of the same thing within the same frame. Currently we only have 1, and if you want to have multiples, you can do it with the matrix here, I believe. So if you have like a plane, and then you just assign this into the matrix, you can sort of generate this, but you need to also do something with the coloring here. So you can't do it this way. It's not, maybe not recommended. I recommend you to actually use the monad. So I might try to do the monad, but before I do that, I'll have like a color in node, and with the color in node we can kind of work with the HSVs, so you can have more interesting color variations, like more options. For that we need perhaps a random number or range float. I'll show you both. This is also another option, whether you want it to randomize the hue, or you want to hue that goes in the rainbow color. So let's plug that in. We're gonna use this hue. Let's start with a ordered fashion first. So we have this total number of circle. We can plug this into the count. Start stop to 0 to 1, and this plug into the hue, and we should get like a rainbow color. If we increase the value, you can see that's super easy to do now. I'll look at it from the top for simplicity. Orthographic. What else? We can control the radius, the minimum maximum radius, by the way, and then the vertices as well. So you can have a triangle, hexagonal. Actually, even this looks really nice. And of course, you can increase the number of the stabbing. So that's if you want to have an ordered hue. So that's another variations. And you can also have something that's a little bit more random, so using float, and this is the size count, and you see it's like a rainbow color but it's randomized. So this is also quite nice. Okay, let's turn this into a monad. That's the next step. I will do it really quickly. Hopefully this works as planned. Sometimes can be tricky. I'll have a switch here actually. So the switch between totally random color and the one that's coming from this guy, from the HSV. So the switch allow you to do that. So look at this. Yeah, that's really nice, I think. So this monad should it's gonna output a Viewer BMesh, but we need to separate these two, I think. Can be tricky. These two needs to be outside of the monad. I'll save this, save a new version, and a good idea is actually to separate the value that's going to be the parameters and going to be the inputs, and this is going to be the output. So 1, 2, and then the matrix. So I think I'll select all these and then go to node. Let me try to find the monad. Search monad. Did we lost the monad actually? Make groups. Interesting. I used to be able to. Okay, there you go. Shift Control G monad. Exit or enter monad. Create a monad from selected nodes. So what I did was selecting all these and then tap spacebar and then type monad. So create monad from selected group. And interesting, it gives me an error, but it should still work. Maybe I need to be careful with this this object, and well, I'll cut this. We need the objects to be outside. I worried about the naming of the objects. So that's the UV. Okay, that's gonna be the vertices data, and that's gonna be the polygon data. We have the switch. This is for the color. This vertex color is gonna be outside. Okay, so we have our monad. Just now we just hit a bugs, but I guess that's okay. We can deal with that in a bit. This is our setup before the monad. This is our setup after the monad. Edit the monad and let's check this again. Vertices. This is supposed to be a vertices data. I need to fix this a bit. Gonna delete everything. Plug in the vertices, and then this guy, the polygon, and then the color. And it's better to name this as well. So there's a color being generated on the fly, and then vertices and data also being generated on the fly based on the cylinder. The input is actually this efficient. Okay, I think that's a proper monad. It should work. There we go, and the color as well. The materials should be this guy. The division needs to be an integer value. So this should work. File save as. Monad itself is a beta kind of nodes in Sverchok, so sometimes you hit the bugs, but that's okay. We can deal with that. And then let's make a grid. The nice thing about the monad is, of course, being able to vectorize. Even though it's not always, it doesn't always work actually, but we will see. We will see. So 4x4 monad. Might need. I'll try vectorize and split, but first of all, I need to be careful here because the result seems to be a single object. I think viewer BMesh need to be inside. So that's a first mistake. So BMesh viewer should be inside, and the output is actually an object nodes that I need to plug into the color. It might not work. I just realized, but we're gonna try it anyway. I'm gonna try one of the seed value. Just now I connected the matrix. It doesn't seem to like it. Let's go up. Yeah, there's probably like a bugs here. I plug in the metric and it doesn't work. I have to might need to redo the monad thing in the next live noding or something. But anyway, the idea is to be able to have multiple of these objects all at the same time, and each one of them has a slight variations. Of course, you can do it with a single, just a single object and just render it multiple times. That's okay as well. If we go back to the thing before the monad. See, this is pretty much like a, for me it's like a done process. If we can turn it into a monad, it will be easier to make a lot of this kind of objects with variations. However, since the monad has a slight issue, so I have to rethink about that part. Anyway, thanks again for tuning in. If you have any suggestion, feedback, just let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.